So I'm here to make a new video. This is my first video on YouTube. So I have an idea that I think will work. First of all, my name is Angus Cole. I'm from the state of Maryland. I am 42 years old and I have an idea that I think will work. Out of all the ideas I have on the daily, I think that this one will work. I want to start a campaign from the ground up. A campaign that is called Motivation is Movement. And I'm going to tell you about this campaign and why I want to start this campaign and such. I'm not going to get into the whole story of my injury. I'm going to talk about my injury briefly and then get into why I want to start this campaign. I'll give you just a brief history of my injury. So in 2009, I slid down a fire pole in a firehouse. I was not a fireman. I was visiting a firehouse. And I slid down a fire pole in a firehouse and I broke my spine. I broke my spine in the T12 area. What I sustained was a T12 burst fracture. Spinal burst fracture. And when I say fracture, from what I was told by the surgeon who did the operation on me, that I had 13 hours of emergency surgery, and when the doctor finished the surgery and woke me up and took me in the ICU and talked to me, he basically said I broke my spine. He told me what I had done, the T12 spinal burst fracture. He basically said, to make a long story short, that meant I broke my spine. And that was devastating. It was good that I had the surgery. It was good that I had the care. It was a blessing that the people who I was in the firehouse with actually manned up and took me to the emergency room. As I said before, I'm not going to get into all of that. It was horrifying how the story played out, and I don't want to waste your time with that. Doing that, telling that story, because it would take me hours. So back to breaking my spine. So I had the surgery. I broke my spine. I was in the hospital for a week. I believe it was a week to 2 weeks after, just so they could keep me there until they would release me, and so I could be in the care of a doctor, nurses, until I was ready to go home. I have a scar that runs from here up my back right here. They put staples here And I'm going to tell this story. I'm not going to, as I say, I'm not going to get into my whole backstory from when I was born and such. It would just take too long. I'm an athlete. Before I broke my spine, I was a runner. The two sports that really got me going on the daily, the two sports that I was really passionate about were cycling and running. I was always, growing up my whole life, I was always into running and specifically mountain biking. I never really got into road riding until after I broke my spine. I was always a runner and I was always a mountain biker. And after the surgery and after I got out of the hospital and went home to rest up and heal, I went and saw the surgeon who did the work on me, and he told me that when the first time I saw him for a reevaluation, a checkup, so he could tell me what things I can do and what things I can't do. And two of the things he told me when he asked me specifically, "Are you an athlete? Do you do anything strenuous? Do you engage in any athletics that might bring you back here again to get surgery? Do you do anything that would put your spine and your life in danger?" And I said, yes, I'm a cyclist and a runner. And the first thing he said, and my father said, and my mother said, well, you can count that out. Forget about that. You got to find new things. You got to do what you got to do and move on from that. And to me, that was devastating, because those were the things. I have ADHD, anxiety, and I have other mental issues I'm not going to get into here. But those are the things, those two things, the running and the cycling, are the two things that really helped with my anxiety and my ADHD, really helped me get out of my house. And were the things growing up that came easiest to me. There was no concentration involved. It didn't take any work for me to do those things. And I started the healing process devastated, because I was told I would probably never be able to do those things again, let alone walk normally. Years went by. I was diagnosed with depression while I was healing. One thing led to another. I'm not going to get into it. And the healing process went years and years longer than it should have. And it was devastating. I will be right back. I'm going to go close my shade because it's hurting my eyes, the sun. I'm back. So I went years and years through the healing process, which should have only taken 6 months, because I was depressed and it was hard for me to get work. My spine was the thing that really took a hold of my brain and said, and anything I wanted to do, anything I tried to do, any sport, any job I tried to get, I couldn't do it because my spine was there in front of me telling me, no, you cannot do that. You can't. You're not going to be able to do those things. You got to listen to your spine, and you've got to not do those things. And my spine really had a grasp on me to where I couldn't do anything because I would let my spine stand in front of me and stop me from doing so much stuff. And the depression got so bad to where it was just awful. It got so bad to where I had to go outside and rethink my life. And as I say, I have ADHD, and I take medication for my ADHD, and when the depression was just too much. Me sitting around all day watching TV, eating, not doing crap, just became too much. Before my accident, I was on stimulants for my ADHD. I take breaks from stimulants a lot. I just don't. Some work and some don't, and I'm like a trial rat with stimulants. I'm always taking new stimulants, ones that work and ones that don't work. So going back to the depression, I was so sick of just sitting around that I needed to find something that would lift me up and give me some motivation to at least go outside and walk down the street. So I found a psychiatrist, and I went and got prescribed stimulants, and it was a lifesaver for me as it lifted me back up from this darkness that I was in. It kind of lifted me back up, and I went back to community college. I just got out of the space I was living in. I was healing. I went to the psychiatrist and told him what was going on and said, I need stimulants. I need to get back on something to help motivate me, to get me, remove me from this space so I can at least go outside and see the daylight. And the stimulants really helped. They really helped me. And that was the turning point to where I said, I've got to do something. It was 2009 was when I broke my spine, 10, 11, 12. That was 2012 when I went and saw that new psychiatrist. And when I went back on a stimulant, it really picked me up to where I could walk outside and start walking around and just getting out in the daylight, not inside trying to heal, trying to figure out what I was going to do. So that really helped. And then it got to the point where I couldn't continue just walking down the street. I couldn't continue going to people's houses and sitting around. I needed something that would help push me farther than where I was. I wanted more. I wanted to do more than just run. I wanted to do more than just walk down the street. I wanted more. I wanted to get back to where I was. And the thing that really helped me is the movement. Movement is motivation. And when I say that, I'm not going to get into the whole story of how I got back into running and cycling. But the movement was the motivation. I remember the day I went outside and saw a bike my dad had just purchased. It was in the garage where we lived. I lived with my mom and dad because I didn't have a lot of funds and I couldn't afford a lot of things because I didn't have a job, and I was still in the healing process when I wasn't supposed to be, and it was a rough time in my life. The stimulants really picked me up, and when I saw a bike in my father's garage, I wanted that. I longed to get back on the bike. I longed to start running again. And the thing that really helped me was the movement that motivated me. It was when I walked over to the bike. Yes, I did end up riding it that day. But the thing that really motivated me was the movement. The movement going over to the bike and just putting my hand around the grips on the bike. Just that feeling of the grips on the bike sent kind of shocks up my arm when I gripped the handlebar on the bike. When I lifted my foot and put my foot on the pedal, that was motivation enough for me to want to move forward. And I said to myself, oh my God, I have that feeling again. I have that feeling of putting my foot down on the pedal. Putting my hand on that handlebar sent those chilling shocks or whatever it was up my arm, and that really motivated me to push forward and say, you know what, someone told me not to do something, I'm gonna do it. And I ended up not listening to what the surgeon had told me. And when I put my hand on that handlebar, I ended up going on a 20-mile bike ride. I didn't start running until a year and a half later, when I needed to run again. And the thing that helped me with running was obviously seeing others run, and I put my foot into a pair of old running shoes I had, and I went on a track at the local gym, and I started running around the track. And I'm not going to sit here and lie. I literally, the first time I ever ran again, this might have been very stupid, but I'm still here today. It was kind of a little something I shouldn't have done. The first time I ever ran again, I sprinted 5 times around the track at the local gym. And yes, my back did hurt. That didn't stop me though. It was the movement. The movement of me putting those running shoes on, tying them up, going up on the track and sprinting around the track. That movement is what motivated me to say, you know what? Screw the surgeon. Like, he told me one thing, and I am not going to sit around and let those things ruin my life. I'm going to do it how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to take it slow. And it's been 10 years since my accident, and eight years of that, I've been riding my bike for... I started road riding eight years ago, and it's just changed my life. And I started racing cyclocross. I did my first cyclocross race 2 weekends ago, or actually it was my second one, and I'm hooked. It's life changing, and it's taken me a while to get back into the sport of running and cyclocross. You have to be smart about it, and you have to do it slow. But the thing that you have to remember is this: if you sustained a life-changing injury and you were a cyclist, a BMXer, a skateboarder, whatever sport you did, and you did it to where it was a part of your daily life, you have to do it like this. If someone has told you, like myself, that you're never gonna be able to do it again because of your injuries, don't let that be the wall between you and whatever it is you want to do. It is the motivation, it is the movement is motivation. Meaning, if you, let's say you're a BMXer, there is a BMX rider I follow on YouTube, or there's two of them. Both of them sustained life-changing injuries, and when you go and watch their YouTube pages, one of them, his name is Scotty Cranmer. He's an inspiration to me, huge inspiration, and the other one is Brett Benasewicz, another huge inspiration to me. I'm a huge fan of BMX. I'm a huge fan of both of those athletes, and they sustained life-changing injuries. And when you go and watch Scotty Cranmer's YouTube channel, he cannot ride his bike fully because of his injury. But you watch him progress, and you watch him in these videos doing things that beginners would do. Obviously, if you sustain a life-changing injury, you're not going to go get back on your bike and start doing flares or flip whips or whatever. You're going to have to do it slowly. But the thing that really that I wanted to tell Scotty is that, or I wanted to tell anybody in their case, is that you go and watch him do all this stuff. You go and watch him do those rails again. You've got to start slowly. But the thing that is going to keep you out of the darkness, keep those thoughts of you not being able to do these things again away, is the movement. And the movement in turn will cause the motivation. If Scotty woke up every single day, if Brett Benasewicz woke up every single day and went out to their garage or wherever they keep their helmets or their bicycles, if they woke up every single day and went out and touched the handlebars of the handle grips of their pedals, sat on the seat of their bike, put their foot down on the pedal, that is motivation enough to say to them, I want this feeling again. I want this feeling every day. I want the feeling of my foot touching this pedal every single day. I want the feeling of my hands sitting on those hand grips. I want that feeling every single day of my life, because that is something I did professionally. They were professional BMXers. They say they want that feeling again. They want their handlebars, their hands resting on those handle grips every single day. They want to feel that. And that will in turn motivate them to not go back and sit in their house and not go back to that dark place maybe they once were. It's going to motivate them to push on. It's going to motivate them to sit down and say, what do I have to do to get these feelings back again? And what Scotty is doing, what I see that Scotty is doing is that, Scotty Cranmer is doing is that he is doing it slowly, going back and doing beginner tricks that are very easy so he can get that motion and that movement back. And that is good to do that. That is good to start from the beginning. Don't think, oh, you were a pro once, you should be able to do all these things again. No, your body is in pain. Your body needs to get the feeling of the pedals and the hand grips and the saddle. It needs to get that feeling again. You can't just go out and do flip whips right away. Your body needs to get that feeling again. It's like your body, you need to train your body all over again how to do these things. And I'm going to end this video soon. It's almost 30 minutes. And that's what you have to do. And if you fall, everybody falls. Don't let that deter you. You're learning something. Just like I say, if you want to learn how to play any instrument, you want to learn how to play guitar, you want to learn how to ride a bike when you're younger, you want to learn how to ski, you want to learn how to do anything that takes learning. Let's say when you're younger, you want to learn how to ride a bike. You don't hop on the bike and start riding down the street. Or you don't hop on the bike and start riding 20 miles. It takes time. It takes learning. And you're eventually going to fall. And you might scrape your knee. You might hurt yourself. But if you're doing it slowly, if you're taking your time and you're doing it smart, those falls will not be catastrophic. If you're going out there and saying, oh, I broke my back 5 years ago, I'm just going to go out there and try a flare. Obviously, that's going to, if something went wrong, that's going to cause catastrophic pain again. You could injure yourself all over again. That's why you got to take it slow. And if you fall, don't worry. The falling motion in anything means progression. It means that you're not taking that fall and saying, oh, I'm falling, I'm scraping my knee, I'm going to stop and not do it again. No. The falling is progression. It means that you're not sitting back and saying, I fell, I scraped my knee, fuck this, I'm done. You want something, and if you want it bad enough, there's going to be consequences. There's going to be falls. There's going to be... When I first started road riding 8 8 years ago, I was using clipless pedals, with the special shoes and the clips on the bottom. They're called clipless. I'm not going to get into that. It was something new to me, clipping in. And I fell 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times before I got the hang of it. It was hard for me to clip in, and when I was at a stop sign, clip out, and I fell. But it was the fact that I even went out and got on the bike and started riding, that when I clipped in, I even had the will to clip in. That was the motivation for me to say, fuck it, I'm not going fast enough or I'll injure myself. So I took that motion, that clipping in motion, to be the motivation for me to continue doing it. Now it comes second nature. I clip in and I can, like it's my day job. So it's the motion that is the motivation. In my campaign, I want to travel around the United States and tell my story, and to people who have sustained life-changing injuries, who need to get back to what they're doing, who want to get back to what they're doing through movement, is the motivation. If you have broken your spine and you were a runner and you want to get back into it, I want to motivate you through movement, one step at a time. If you go and put on a pair of running shoes and walk out your door and go take a walk down the street, and you want to start jogging slowly, do that, but do it smart and do it slowly, and eventually you'll get back to whatever it is. Now, if you've been paralyzed for life and you truly cannot walk again, that's a different story, and I don't have the answer for that. I can say that if the movement, if let's say you're paralyzed for life and need to be in a wheelchair for the rest of your life, I can say that the movement is the motivation to continue living, continue pushing forward through whatever it is you want to do. Obviously, you're not going to be able to run again or ride your bike. Maybe you will. Who knows? Look at me. So I want to start this campaign. I want to go around the United States and tell my story to cycling communities, cycling teams, running communities, high schools. I just want to go around the United States and tell my story. And one thing I need to do to tell my story is this. I have 2 jobs right now. They're both part-time, and they're both jobs that I can do with my back. And I want to gain some sponsors who will back me, who will help pay for my travel, who will help get me into these high schools, help get me to where I can tell my story, help me pay my hotel stays, what have you, help me get around the US to tell my story so I can motivate people through my story. I can motivate people to continue doing what they're doing. And I also wanted to do it in the action sports community, travel around in the action sports community to get my story out so people will know that they're not alone, and that even though that they sustained this life-changing injury, it's not the end of the world. It's not the end of their life. It's not the end of their career. It's not the end. It's just the beginning. And when I say I'm gonna end this video in a minute, when I say it's just the beginning, is because literally it is the beginning. It's like you're starting over. You're starting from square one. You're learning how to do something again. So it is the beginning, but it's never the end. If you break your spine, or you break your leg, or you sustain a head injury, and you're an athlete, BMXer, snowboarder, skier, whatever it is never the end. Most of the time, your body will heal enough where you can do this activity again. It should never be the end. These injuries, these things you should sustain, these life-changing injuries you sustain, it should never be the end. It should never be to the point where you give up and say, no, I'm not going to do it again. That'll ruin your life, and that ruined my life for so many years, sitting around letting my spine do the talking, that I had to do it again. There was no choice. It was either I was going to sit around all day and potentially die. It's very sad to say that. I was in such a low place. It was either that, or it was I get help and I get my life back together, and I do the things that I was passionate about, and I do them again. So you just got to do that. If you want to continue moving forward, you just got to do that. And I was seeing a physical therapist for a year and a half, and then my insurance ran out. So if your insurance will allow you, go see a physical therapist. Go see a psychiatrist, someone who can help you get over the hurdles. And before I leave, another thing that really helped me get over my hurdles was skydiving. That was one of the biggest fears of my life. I have always had a fear of heights, and I'm not going to get into this. I'll tell you this in another story. I always had a fear of heights, and I always wanted to go skydiving. And I got the courage. People always told me, you'd never go skydiving. You're afraid of heights. I don't see you doing that. And what did I do? I went tandem skydiving, and that changed my life. I no longer have a fear of heights, and I want to become a solo skydiver one day. So I'm gonna leave you on that note, and if I can get the motivation to start this campaign and find some sponsors and find someone who can help me write my story, who can help me tell my story, who can help me get the motivation to do this. You might see me in your town. So I don't have any followers on YouTube at the moment. I just made this new YouTube, so follow me here on YouTube. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter, WordPress, and Tumblr. I'm not on Facebook. I don't like that platform. I am on Facebook personally because I do a lot of volunteering, and one of the people I volunteer with is on there, and they do updates on Facebook. I rarely use it though, so follow me here, Twitter, Instagram, and WordPress. Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr, and WordPress at Dose of Living for all of those. And I will see you in the next video. Have a nice rest of your day, and remember, movement is a motivation. Even if you go put some shoes on and walk outside your door and then walk back inside, that's movement, and that's motivation right there. So I'm going to end this video. It's 41 minutes. See ya.